In Western culture today, we're living in a world that's increasingly pluralistic, people of all sorts of differences. And at the same time, the public square is increasingly secular. So the old style of communication that assumed that everyone understands our authority and our language and so on no longer works. We've got to be persuasive to know how to speak in all the different languages and to make sense to them. Never has apologetics been so urgent. Well, we want to make a persuasive case for all sorts of things. Many people begin with, say, the fight against abortion or the fight against same-sex marriage, but 100 other things too. And every time you want to make a persuasive case in public, you need to be persuasive. I was talking to the founder of MTV a few years ago. He said to me, the pro-life movement is simply not persuasive. He said if they'd used the logic of the DeMoss television ads, Beautiful Life and so on, they would have won long ago. He said, but protest, pronouncement, baby killer, all this sort of stuff. In other words, we're very good at propositions and statements and declarations and pronouncements, but we're not very good at persuasion. And actually you can see this both theoretically in many of our seminaries and churches, but also practically, we're not very good. A lot of apologetics is limited in the sense that it appeals only to a limited class of highly educated people. And the challenge is to create a form of persuasion that can address anyone, anywhere. But my particular concern is one group. People who are not open, not interested, and not needy. In other words, when people are open, interested, and needy, it's easy. And all our approaches that Jesus is the answer, God has a wonderful plan for your life, all sorts of things like that come in. But when someone's not open, not interested, not needy, there's actually a biblical way of doing it that we've overlooked. And I will argue, not for postmodern understanding of stories, because they've abandoned truth and reason and proposition, but a biblical understanding of the use of questions and parables and drama and so on as a way of opening people's heart, those who are not open, not interested, and not needy. The two great mysteries of life, one is time and the other is evil. But of the two, evil is by far the most important for winning people to Christ because it's a major roadblock. And of course, we're living in a world of monstrous evil. I don't think we as human beings today are more evil, but modernity has reinforced evil so that you have a malignancy to modern evil we've never seen in history. And you just think, say, of Auschwitz or many of the things in the 20th century. We just lived through the most murderous century in all human history. So we as believers have got to understand evil for our own sake, for the sake of our trust in God in a world of evil, but also to reach out to people who are deeply hurting. Now, a lot of people use the problem of evil as a stick to beat God with, and I don't answer that sort of question. You have to ask questions back to them, but people who are really serious about evil, then they deserve an honest answer. Absolutely. And I will be arguing, as I mentioned, for drama and questions and imagination. And the fact is, many people, they object to my approach. They say, well, it takes too much education. I'll mention people like Erasmus. And the answer is very simple. The reason we're not good at this, biblical apologetics, is not that we haven't had enough education. We've had too much of the wrong sort. I went to a pretty good university, Oxford, but you can look at most of our Western universities. They're strong in analysis and reason and critique and so on. They're very weak in imagination and irony and things like that. So we've got to have a fully biblical understanding of human creativity and using it, in this case, not to produce great paintings or music or whatever, but to use it persuasively to win people to Christ.